I don't know what position to say. What position should I say for Isaiah Simmons?
You could probably just start with saying defense. That'd probably be the best. Yeah.
Do we want to be that narrow? Could we just say offense and defense? Just football player.
Yeah, football player works for me.
Yeah, what's up, guys? This is X&O's TV, and today I want to break down Isaiah Simmons' first season with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, when Isaiah came out for the draft, the media was hyping him up as this positionless chess piece for any team that would draft him. But anytime you have a player transitioning from college to the pros, there's always going to be a huge mental and physical learning curve for that player, no matter how good they are. And when you have a team trying to maximize a player's versatility, like Arizona with Isaiah, you risk slowing that player's development and making him more of a jack of all trades but master of none. And I think that's exactly what happened. When I watched the tape, Arizona just struggled finding a home for Isaiah on their defense. And when you consider the fact that there's barely an offseason, no preseason, I think that explains some of it. But don't get me wrong, this guy is a tremendous player, has a ton of upside. But before I can show you all that potential, we do have to look at some of the ugliness that is scattered throughout his tape. And it pretty much all started for him on his first play in his first professional game. This is Isaiah's very first snap in the NFL. It's against the San Francisco 49ers, a team who was literally just in the Super Bowl last season. The issue is, it's against George Kittle, and everyone knows Kittle's the best tight end in the NFL. And I think Kittle's success against the Cardinals in the past is a big reason why the Cardinals went out and drafted Isaiah in the first place. They need somebody to cover this guy 2, maybe 3 times a season. The issue is, without a preseason, without an offseason, there's no way Isaiah's prepared enough to go up against a guy like this. There's no tight end in college, and there's no tight end on the Cardinals roster with similar physical tools and technique that Kittle has. Basically, Isaiah is being thrown to the wolves here, and it's going to get much worse after this. So clearly, the Cardinals really wanted Isaiah to see extensive time in his first NFL game. Usually they run a 3-4 defense under Vance Joseph, but instead they came out in a 4-3 against the 49ers. The 4-3 utilizes 3 off-ball linebackers. It really helps against the 49ers' effective run game and play action game. So this was pretty much the only way to get Isaiah on the field in base defense. Until this play. Once this play happened, they went back to their 3-4, which sent Isaiah back to the bench. Now, Isaiah's in man coverage here. He's lined up against the running back, Raheem Mostert. Raheem's going to run a Texas concept. It's basically like an angle route. It's very difficult to cover in man coverage. He's going to get juked here. It's a bad play. Isaiah's got to be better in coverage, but the only reason it was a touchdown is because it was the perfect play against what the Cardinals were running defensively. So after the worst possible start to Isaiah's NFL career, he was basically just a backup. Arizona barely let him play more than 10 snaps a game besides a blowout win over the Cowboys. Until Week 7 against Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, Russ reads the coverage wrong, throws the ball up, and Isaiah makes a great interception. This would open up the opportunity for more playing time. He basically sealed a victory for the Cardinals and earned back the trust of his coaches. So after the Week 7 interception against the Seattle Seahawks in overtime, Isaiah's snaps improved dramatically. Basically, it went up to over 50% of the snaps in Weeks 9 and Week 10 against Miami and Buffalo. The Cardinals coaching staff decided to get this guy on the field at all costs. He played a variety of different positions, linebacker, edge, safety, just trying to get him as much experience as they possibly could. But once we get to Week 11, the second time the Cardinals played Seattle, that's when Isaiah had the best game of his career. Ends up playing linebacker pretty much exclusively, coming in on obvious passing downs, third downs, stuff like that. But he ends up finishing the game with 10 tackles and improving a lot in coverage, looking like the player he was coming out of Clemson. Okay, so I really wanted to show off Isaiah's ability in pass coverage. I thought he did a really good job against Seattle in that Week 11 game. So here the Cardinals are just in a basic cover 3. Isaiah's playing a curl flat, that purple zone at the top of the screen. He's an outside linebacker. The Seahawks are going to be running these deep crossing patterns, which are very good at exploiting zone coverage. The receiver they want to target is Tyler Lockett. He's the slot receiver at the bottom of the screen. He's going to come all the way across and then kind of just settle at that 30-yard marker. Isaiah's just going to come out, play the curl. He's going to cover the running back in the flat. But like I said, they're trying to get that ball to Tyler Lockett. The cornerback noticed that Tyler Lockett just kind of settled there, so he's going to come over and he's going to squeeze down on that route. But since he was in a deep third, now nobody's over there playing that deep side of the field. So the running back's going to notice it, that Isaiah's playing, and he's just going to take off down the field, and Isaiah's going to chase after him. But this really shows off Isaiah's just football IQ and his ball skills and his ability to break up passes. He makes it look easy. Okay, so this play here is just going to show off Isaiah's pure athletic ability. It's 6'4", 240 pounds. It's really quite impressive. So the Cardinals are in a cover one. They're in man coverage. Isaiah's responsible for the tight end, but pretty much every time Seattle lines up in this trips formation, they love running man beaters. So the one that they have planned for this play is just a basic rub concept where you have the tight end coming upfield and the slot receiver doing a little slant underneath of him, and the tight end creates like a natural pick up the field. But NFL defenses know about this. They're prepared for this, so they have techniques in place to prevent guys from running wide open in man coverage, and the Cardinals here are going to use a banjo technique. Basically what a banjo is instead of covering the guy that you were first responsible for, when they cross, you just switch your responsibilities. So now Isaiah, instead of covering the tight end, he's now responsible for the slot receiver who now is crossing his face. But I think he forgets here or something. He ends up taking a false step, and the problem is this is Tyler Lockett at slot receiver. His nickname is the Rocket. He's incredibly fast. So now he's in a full sprint across his face. And if this is any other linebacker in the NFL, this is going to be a first down. But instead, it's Isaiah Simmons, who is a freak of nature and extremely fast at 6'4", 240. And he's going to prevent the first down. It's incredible. So the last game I want to talk about was the Week 15 game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this game was Isaiah's worst game of the season, and it really wasn't close. It also happened to be the game he played the most defensive snaps. Now, I don't think that's a coincidence. He played over 75% of the snaps, and a big reason why he did that was because of the Cardinals' defensive game plan. So the Eagles have two really good tight ends. They had Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, and they like to play them together on the field at the same time. So Arizona figured that they could play Isaiah in a variety of different roles, safety, linebacker, edge rusher, to try to minimize the impact of these two playmakers. But I think it backfired, and it seemed that Isaiah was just thinking too much out there instead of worrying about playing football. So when Isaiah was coming out for the draft, I fell for that same media hype. I thought he was going to be the next Derwin James. But after watching his NFL tape, that comp just seems so silly to me now. Derwin is 6'3", 215 pounds. Isaiah has almost 30 pounds over Derwin James. It's clear to me that his best fit in the NFL would be at linebacker. He has this rare blend of size, speed, and strength that I don't think the other positions on defense would be the proper fit for him. But could he play safety? Yeah. Could he be an edge rusher? Probably. Nickel corner? Maybe. But I don't think that's where his upside lies. I think he has the upside to be a Pro Bowl linebacker next year. It's fun to talk about a player's potential versatility, but for me, it's far more interesting seeing a player reach their full potential. We just didn't get to see that this year because it was such a weird season for all the rookies, but especially Isaiah. He needed that offseason. He needed a preseason to develop. His coaches needed time to spend with him to see where he fits best in their defense and maximize his skill set. I think a full year, full NFL season under his belt is going to do wonders for him, and I think the sky's the limit for him next year. I'm excited to see what he does in 2021. But what do you guys think? Where do you think Isaiah fits best on defense. And what did you guys think of my breakdown? I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.